right, well, I don't mean to scare you. Actually, I do. It'll help ratings. But I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I want you to be scared because you're about to get caught in your own World Wide Web. Every post you liked, every picture you took, every email you ever wrote. Fair game for every IRS agent out there. And it is all legal for the taxman to collect in the name of collecting cash from you. To Rick Unger, Sabrina Schaeffer, and Dee Banky. Dee, what do you make of this?
Well, I think this is an outdated law, 1986. I mean, think about it. That's when cell phones were like this big, and people really weren't emailing much.
You weren't even born. What do you know?
Well, you know, all I know is I did watch Wall Street, and Gordon Gekko had that phone.
Remember that?
It was this big. It was bigger than his
But even when
head.
I watch a movie, it looks stupid. But,
exactly.
But that's outdated now,
yes.
just like the phone.
Yes, outdated emails. And I think that that's going to be fixed because there are a lot of members of Congress that are scurrying quickly and dealing with folks like Google and others saying, look, this is so outdated, we've got to do something about it. And I think that they will.
There's no stop in the IRS.
Right.
Listen, I've been subjected to IRS treatment, so I am no one to defend them. However, painful as it may be, what they're doing is legal. It is easy to fix. The problem with the original law was passed in 1986. There really was no email. So if you've got an email sitting on your home computer, they got to get a warrant. But what they never contemplated was the cloud and servers. And anything left on a server or in the cloud beyond 180 days. It's protected up to 180 days. After that, it's deemed abandoned. It's fair game. All you have to do is have Congress make a very easy amendment to this law.
All right, but Sabrina, the argument I hear from the IRS, just when we were dealing with this issue the other day about how they can look at your Facebook postings and Twitter accounts, it starts with either a suspicious return or they flag something you've sent along to them, and then stuff that's fair game. They begin, it would be akin to confirming with your employer that you're still there or that the write-offs you're announcing or the contributions you're reporting are accurate, and then going after your emails or whatever else is fair and indeed legal games. What do you make of that?
Well, I don't know if that could be legal. I mean, look, we do have the Fourth Amendment, which does protect us against reasonable expectations of privacy. If you pay for an email account and you have a password, I can't imagine that that's fair game. It's not like speaking loudly in the middle of a crowded restaurant. But
what if you're saying in that email that, you know, you just took a trip to the Mediterranean and you were in the presidential cabinet? It's type that Unger does all the time. Then he's got the income to back it up. But I'm just saying, if you report to the IRS, you earn $20,000 a year, they're going to start saying, wait a minute, right?
But the question is, do they need a warrant to do so? And I think that
no, they don't even need the warrant. They'll just do it.
And the problem is it's been tested on a Fourth Amendment challenge, and it did not hold up.
What didn't hold up?
The IRS was free to
go ahead and do what it is.
It's not a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
I mean, it really is, man. Fourth Amendment rights really are, you know, the government should not be able to infringe on Fourth Amendment rights, and the IRS.
But they do, and they have. We even have private companies that do it.
Look, they need to change, though. But think about it. I mean, I still go back to it being terribly outdated in '86. Things are very different now with technology, and it needs to change. And I don't think.
Good old days to you, or '86?
No, this is that brave new world.
Look, you can't.
I remember the banana splits.
Look, I don't even send snail mail. I don't send real mail. It's all email. Everything is electronic. But, you know, if someone gets into your mailbox or somebody takes your mail, that is a federal offense. So why isn't it a federal offense when it's electronic?
Oh, that's an interesting point. What do you mean? What's the difference?
There is no difference.
No, there are. This is nothing new. The government can access certain things unless it has been legislated out of existence.
See, I agree with you. I don't see, and I talk to a lot of lawyers who say pretty much the same, that it's not pleasant, but
all your congressmen.
Yeah.
But I think what's new is that we're living in this sort of brave new world of technology and big data, and you know, you can take money out of an ATM, you can drive through a light, you can send something on email. The fact is that our information, our privacy is increasingly becoming something that could be public, and I think that we need to sort of rethink how we're going to navigate this relationship. But don't you rethink that anyway
these days in this environment, that anything you email to anyone or anything you do on the World Wide Web or any time you are clicking on a keyboard, it's fair game?
But it is, but I think that we need to, I don't think we should run away from the technology, but I think that we need to be
I'm not saying you should, but I think it's you know, Scott McNeely's old line at Sun Microsystems, if you're worried about your privacy, get over it, because those days are gone.
They're gone. That's exactly
right. And what difference is a 180-day email versus an email that you sent yesterday? I don't understand the logic of that either. It's not abandoned.
You're right on the logic. I wouldn't argue with it, and I don't like it. I really don't. I don't support it.
Yes, you do. I think you do.
It's illogical and it's outdated. And
like I
liberals
said,
are very, you're into eavesdropping. You know?
I would rather visit my proctologist than go through another IRS audit. That's how much I don't like the IRS.
I do hear you on that.
Well, the government and others should not be able to have access to your private emails. I mean, it's just like regular mail, and it needs to be looked at as
It doesn't start out that way. Like I said, it starts out, the way lawyers have told me this is it starts out, they're not initially hunting.
Really?
They're saying
Are you sure? Who knows?
Well, look, I agree, but they look at something in your return that doesn't quite mesh, and then everything else is an open game.
What else is open game? Is your journal that's in your nightstand, is that open game? Is
of course it is.
A letter that you wrote on vacation? I mean, where do we draw the line?
What's the big difference?
The big difference is expectation of privacy. If that journal's in your nightstand, you have an expectation of privacy.
Therefore, they have to have it.
What if your jet stand, it's not in a nightstand, it's just on your computer?
If it's on your computer, we know that you have an expectation of privacy. They must have a warrant to come and get your computer. But it has been ruled that if you leave it out there in cyberspace, because you have an option to erase it. And if you don't,
well, it's still on the server.
No, it can be erased from the server. Well, you got
to tell me how to do that, because I'm in deep doo-doo right now. By the way, Iris, if you really want to do this, I mean, there's nothing wrong, baby. Go ahead. Anyway, tax stuff where you stop. Relax. You already got me upset with the phone reference. When it rains, you get poor. The storm over attacks on rain. We're still saying dirty words during the break. Didn't we feel like kids in school, like, oh, she said sperm, she said sperm. Anyway.
This is a family show.
It is?
Right. No, it's not.
By the way, to be a fly on that wall in the White House, you hear about this, the president meeting with a lot of big bank CEOs today, kind of on the same mission that the president had when he was gathering with Republicans for Dindon last night. Sell them on higher taxes, maybe higher than where they are now, maybe a lot higher, and get banks behind their hero Warren Buffett, the left-leaning billionaire do-gooder who insists a minimum 30% tax on millionaires will do us all some good. So you think those bankers bought it? How did it all go down? Even our progressive friend Rick Unger knows this is a tough sell. But boy, you should have Rick in the room to sell it to you, by the way. We got Sabrina Schaeffer back with us, Dee Banky. We're also going to say dirty words here, just like junior high school. Rick, how do you think it went down?
Look, first of all, let's get one thing clear. It's 30% over $1 million, not 30% of $1 million.
But the idea being that, the new top rate is 39.6, but a lot of people, when all is factored in, adjustments can be significantly less. So what the Buffett rule says is that at a very minimum, you should be paying 30%, right?
And how did it go down? Come on, how do you think it went down? Nobody likes paying more taxes. And I'm sure that each of those
very flippantly condescending there.
I haven't even started yet.
I just want to confirm that. Yeah.
Nobody likes paying taxes, but
nobody likes.
I got to tell you,
taxes.
But you want everyone to, though.
No, I'm going to.
You have clients who pay money for this type of advice.
You love that.
I'm going to bring something else into this conversation that happened yesterday, because it was so shocking about how things have gotten in this country. This part of Obama's budget that would put a cap on how much you can contribute to your retirement account.
Yes.
Tax deferred. Yeah. There were CEOs yesterday saying, well, you know what? If that's how it's going to be, I'm going to end the company pension plan. And I'm sitting there going, wait a second. I worked for companies where I got a company pension plan, and they sold it to me by saying it was part of my compensation. It turns out that all these people care about is that if they can't put more of their own money into their fund, then nobody can.
You're judging the behavior and the comments of a few for all?
There was a lot of that yesterday. And these are the people who were sitting in that meeting today with the president.
What do you make of that?
But I think that
Go ahead, Sabrina.
Thing, even if you don't buy into this kind of class warfare that clearly Warren Buffett buys into and the president buys into, the reality is the Buffett tax would not have the kind of impact in terms of raising revenue that the president is sort of selling it as. And I think that's really what the bottom line is, right? I mean, because the majority of millionaires that we're talking about, the large majority of them are already paying 30%. So
well, obviously, they were we're told from our old Charlie Gasparino, who was all but in that room, and he has very good sources. They were all very nice with the president, lovey-dovey with the president. Maybe they don't want to be targeted by the president. Whatever. Everything went, hunky-dory. Well, maybe. But Dee, what are we to make of this ongoing message of the president now to tell rich guys, you know, get on board with my wanting to get more from rich guys.
Well, you know, he always talks about being fair share. I don't think that's fair. These are the guys that are working hard as men and women, and they're bringing jobs, and they're bringing income, and these are folks that are putting...
Well, actually, that group isn't hiring anyone.
They're
not bringing any jobs.
Right. But they are bringing a lot of times their own money into this risk. So if they're making the risk, they should, yes.
In that room?
And
he's right. What
and
makes
they should be able to have the benefits. I mean, that's capitalism. That's what our country's all about.
Actually,
and
those people are using my money and your money. They're not bringing their own money to their banks.
But a lot
well, they paid off the
but
loans,
the bottom
but
line
I
is
know
that
what
the
you're
people
saying.
that
I
we're
do appreciate
talking
what
about
you're
are
saying.
the job creators. They're the business owners. And what makes 30% fair? Why not 40%?
Okay.
Why is it that the president
No,
in
he
his
would love
secret
it.
little
Get up to
meeting
90% and away we go.
I know. Exactly. So
The
I
sperm
don't know
guy
why
would
this
be the
is
least
fair.
of the worries. Anything you have, just give it. So here's what I'm worried about, Dee Dee. The more I hear this kind of talk, and the more I hear about the $1 trillion in new taxes coming in, because that's what it really adds up to, not just $600 billion, is that the president needs the powers that be to support him on the notion that this is going to help not only our deficits, but it's going to set us in the right direction. We're like a coiled spring, ready to go. Stick with me, and it's like a Clinton-era thing happening. Did you buy it?
No, it's ridiculous, and it's just a big PR move that's just not going to happen, saying, you know, the rich need to pay their fair share, and it's the rich that are paying over their fair share. I mean, it may be a fair tax. Maybe that's what we need, a flat tax where
that's not going to
the
happen.
same. I know it's not going to happen, but right now, I think it's flip-flopped. It's not right for folks that are making a lot of money. They put their own money out there, and they've worked hard.
Well, this particular bunch, even though it kills me to admit, Rick, I mean, this particular bunch is in its own little sleazy category with the president. So, but I will say, I will say this, Rick, and I want to ask you this. A lot of rich folks are saying, all right, we have given at the office. You raised our rates. You already closed our deductions. You're zooming us on this Medicare surtax, so we sell a pricey investment or property, whatever. Now you're closing a lot more loopholes. You're going to demand a lot more money from us. When do you stop saying we're not paying our fair share? You would have to admit that is a legitimate gripe.
It's a legitimate issue, but can we all admit something that might bring the conversation to a screeching halt? It's not going to happen. The Buffett rule is not going to pass.
Well, but additional taxes are. Additional taxes are.
No. I actually heard the segment earlier when you were talking about this. The tobacco taxes might. Are you really disturbed by that? Are you really disturbed that people who smoke cigarettes?
Of course.
No, because then they're going to go after BLTs, and then I would be disturbed.
These are legal substances.
Yeah,
so of course.
Bacon, lettuce,
tomato. Just bring you up to date.
I don't even know what to say to that.
You know, well, you're an idiot. So I don't mean that. But, you know, Sabrina, here's what I think. Once you give a little, and I think Republicans, when they gave in on this tax thing, and they thought that was it, we gave it to the office, it's done. Now the expectation is, no, I'm not done. We want more taxes. And that's fine. It's going to be part of any of the deals, but I find that every future deal thereafter becomes disproportionate in favor of hikes over cuts.
Right. The only thing that gives me a little hope that this is not going to go through is all the headlines that I saw in the last day and a half. I mean, Forbes was saying, look, this is just about soaking the rich in more taxes.
Oh, come on. This is Forbes. What do you expect them to say?
I thought it was
Forbes would take a bow and say, hey, we want to screw the rich more.
I do think that there's a common narrative out there that there is class warfare going on, and that this is not the way to really spur economic growth for the long run.
And I feel sorry for the banking guys. You're all calling them sleazy and mean and terrible. I mean, they have a lot to do with it.
No, they're not. They're not terrible. They are sleazy and they are mean. They are mean. Guys, I want to thank you.
I'm calling my congressman to ask for a BLT tax the minute I'm out of here.
I'm telling you, once we start with cigarettes, the moment you're lucky you're thin and fit. All right. Junkie monkey is the next thing they're going after. All right. I want to thank you very, very much for joining us. We'll be exploring this. Get to read some small business types on how this week is